idea of these escapes is for you to kind of understand that there's a broad picture of different escapes, but they all can be broken down into kind of three simple groups. We're reguarding, we're wrestling, or we're reversing and rolling. We're not really looking at reversing and rolling here today, but we are looking at how to reguard and wrestle.
What's up, everybody? Matt Browse here, and welcome back to the Porrada podcast. Specifically, welcome back to the YouTube channel for the podcast. Every other week or so, I ask a coach that I know to show me something, and we put it on camera. This time it's Zach Jeffrey, who has technically made 6 appearances on the audio-only show. Please do check those out. But this time around, he's explaining the system he put together to better help his students understand escaping side control. Like and subscribe, and here we go.
Hi, I'm Zach. Welcome to the Porrada podcast. Let me show you something. Today we're going to work on what I call the lucky 4-leaf clover side control escape system. The 4 positions are chimp control, channel control, Spider-Man, and snowplow. What your task is to figure out which position you're in so that you can actually escape. Okay, so I just wanted to tell you a story a little bit to explain why we're talking about what we're talking about. So when I was like a newer brown belt, I did a competition match, and I went against this guy named Danny Siebert from Alliance. He's real tough, and me and him had some pretty competitive matches. But first round we got matched up and we did a match together, and man, it was really tough. He held me in side control for probably like 7 minutes, and that had never really happened in the match, but I was just having, a darn hard time getting out. And towards the end of the match, Ishmael kind of yelled to me from the sideline, like, "Zach, give up your back." And I was like, "Oh, okay, what choice do I have?" So I kind of ran away from him, gave up my back, and got out of side control, and then the match started going again. But it was kind of like embarrassing to get pinned there for so long. It was kind of scary, just to not be able to breathe and stuff like that. So it kind of brought me down this path of learning more about how to escape side control. And this one class, not long after that, that Ishmael gave, really just opened my mind and kind of broadened my picture about side control escapes. Okay, so I'm going to kind of talk about the concept that he shared with me that really changed my game. Okay, and so I call it the lucky 4-leaf clover escape system, something like that. Okay, so the idea is there's kind of 4 positions that we're going to look at right now of side control. Okay, so Kristen, I have your feet over here and your head over here. So much when we're talking about side control, we're in a kind of position like this, okay? And the concept that I want you to understand right now isn't how to necessarily do a specific technique, but to open your mind to the idea that there's different types of side control. So right now, my arms are kind of in this position, but if I go over here, this is another type of side control. Same thing if I bring them both over here, or like this. Okay, so these are all different side controls that actually require different types of escapes. So my main problem when I went back was that, me being the bottom player in this match against Danny, I was just really good against most people about getting my knee back in and fighting the legs back inside and reguarding. Okay? But if that option isn't available, if he kind of blocks this leg, well then that elbow escape, that knee escape, it's not available to me. It cannot be done, and that was the breakthrough that I had to understand. Okay? I couldn't just force my way out of side control by, having lots of willpower and explosion. Okay? There was something else that I had to do. I had to start running away and getting free. Okay, so to make this easier for students, I started naming these positions so we can understand where we're at. And once we understand where we're at, we can pair an escape with the position, okay? So we're gonna look at the names that I called each of these positions now, okay? They're kind of silly names just to help you remember. So right here, Chris, and me, I kind of form he kind of forms a tunnel underneath me. See how I kind of have this tunnel position underneath here? Okay, so I call this channel control. Okay, just to name it something silly, it's the channel, kind of like the English channel. I think that's what it is, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if I go to the opposite side, where instead of covering the far shoulder and far hip, I cover the near hip and the near shoulder. I call this snowplow control. See how I kind of like a snowplow right here, just kind of rolling them up. Okay. This one, which is one of the most common ones, this is chimp control. Okay, so it's so easy to hold someone here that even a chimp can do it, and it can be a really miserable spot. Okay. The last one that we haven't talked about is when I block the far shoulder and the far hip. And right now, I kind of look like Spider-Man, kind of crawling up the wall, So I call that Spider-Man control. Okay, so again, real quick, we have channel control, snowplow control, chimp control, and Spider-Man control. Okay, so those are the 4 arm positions that we have to pair escapes with now. This is kind of the main position that I think people find themselves when they're trying to escape side control. I think of this as the worst case scenario, actually. With my opponent kind of has their knee up by my head here, and my arm kind of stuck in his hip pocket. Okay, he has an underhook and his head's kind of tight here. Man, he can really put a lot of pressure on my shoulders in this position. Okay, so since he's focusing his pin up on my upper body, what he's giving away is a little bit of lower body control, okay? And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use my feet on the mat to try and take the space that he's giving me, okay? So in this case, I'm looking to reguard and get my knee in, but there's no space, there's no frame. So I wanna get those back first. I'm gonna start by kind of running away, aligning my body more in a 12 and 6 position. I can bridge, and I'm gonna move his head across my body this way. Bridge, and move. This gives me a little bit of a moment of relief where I can turn towards him, my hips go out away from me, and I simply won by getting my forearm to his hip. Many times he's gonna put all of his pressure back on me, but it's not quite the same when I'm able to frame here like this. Again, I'm gonna go with a second bridge. My feet can't come up near the butt. I'm gonna use my bicep to bend his head, pass it across my center line, hip escape away, knee comes in at the hip, sole of my foot is out, and right away, I'm gonna use my second leg, and I'm gonna start to dig for a half guard position. From here, I can start to frame, create space, get up to my base, and go off to side control, okay? So the main idea I want you to understand from that is when I'm in chimp control, I can always create a little bit of space to bring my knee back in and reguard. So now if we're doing all of those same details, there's a response that we could expect from our top opponent, okay? So I'm gonna go through the actions, and as I start to bring my knee in, what Chris did was bring his arm, stay in here, from my far hip to my near side hip. And what he did, even if I got my knee in a little bit, he can circle and stop my leg from getting back in, okay? But what he did, not down on your knees, is he made a decision. He had a choice to either block my far hip or my near side of my hip with that arm. Committing both arms to this side of the body makes it really difficult for me to push and drive into him. even if I have my foot in the mat for like a bridge, man, oh man, I feel like we're kind of two battering rams pushing into each other at this point. So what I need to do is I need to recognize that moment where I feel like there's a stalemate. And I have to use that as my indicator in order to switch off to a second position, and that's what we're looking at now. Okay, it's called the running man escape. So I'm gonna bridge to free my hand. Boom. A lot of times I don't get free, I just get kind of stuffed here, but my feet again allow me to bridge. I'm gonna block, elbow at the hip, hand at the hand. Notice my feet are connected to the mat. That allows me to run and switch to kind of a front headlock position. Pause. So many times from here, the person on top is going to be looking to circle around my back. I'm going to use my arm to block the hip. Come up, Chris. What I'm doing is kind of straightening my arm, blocking him here like this. So as he tries to circle, he can't ever get around behind me. I also can snake and sneak a single leg. From here, I can grab the inside of the knee, bring him down to 2 knees, circle as I bring him down to his hip, use my ear on his shoulder to bring him onto his shoulder, and I can change the position back to a side control. All right, so we're starting off with the idea of a shield and dagger position. I have a cross face. Okay, I have a bicep control with this arm. Okay, he's trying to close the distance and possibly be striking me. I don't want to give up an underhook here, and I don't want to be hit. I don't want to be cross-faced here, and I don't want to be hit. Okay, so close the distance, Chris. Okay, a lot of times we'll be here, and he can't hit me, so he's going to windmill that arm over the top. We're now in what I call channel control. It's just one of those variations on side control. Both of my forearms are framing on him, so he can't just, smush me and put lots of pressure down. Okay? If I need to, I can block strikes here with my head close to his arm and his shoulder. Okay? From here, what I have available to me is my good frames and my hips. Okay? I can bridge hard and create some space. A lot of times I'll be able to sneak my arm across the body and win myself a nice underhook. From here, I can use these 2 frames to hip escape away and bring my knee back inside. So again, we're back into our reguarding technique. Nothing has changed. I get control of the ankle. I start to win position to get to dogfight. I'll drive forward, blocking the far knee, trying to bring his hip across his knee line, which makes him fall. Pause, go to your shoulder. From here, my ear stays tight on his shoulder, driving him down. I circle around behind, and now I can take my channel control. Okay? Do it again. Maybe my opponent is on his feet, passes, I try to block, and he goes to channel control. I bridge, I win an underhook, I hip escape, bring my knee in, win the foot, win elbow position. I'm gonna come up off the mat, and I'm sitting my weight back onto his foot. I trap his far knee, I drive forward, notice my head position, drive, drive, drive. If he's staying up here, I can always block. I get up and circle. He's gonna block my bicep with that inside hand, and I control him here. So a common response when my opponent starts to recognize that I'm going for my reguarding technique is they'll pass that far arm across my body and block my hip. Again, you can stop my reguarding technique from here. So my response to this Spider-Man control where he's at now, is to create a shallow underhook. So if you'll see my left hand kind of wiggling out here, what I'm doing is I'm grabbing a nice tight grip on the back of his tricep. My knee and my hip are kind of opposing the force of my arm. So I try to move your arm around, Chris. It's difficult to do so. I have this hand here blocking at his hip, but I'll keep my feet on the mat as I try to get to that 12 and 6 position. I'm going to do a thread the needle technique, so my bottom leg is going to pass underneath and I get to my knees. Again, Chris is attacking my back. I block at the hip, my arm's coming back, winning the low single. Many times from here I'll try to change my angle, winning that position around his ankle with my leg. It's difficult for him to keep that leg up from this position. Go back there. I can just kind of bring him forward. Knee comes down, drive hip down, drive shoulder down, kicking around the leg, and now I'm back in shuttle control. And if he tries to get that leg in, this is how Spider-Man control gets set up many times. Another option would be me trying to attack a Kimura here. If I'm trying to attack a Kimura, he can block at the arm and start to work his technique as well. Now this turns into a nice flow drill, a thread, where I block, channel, try to elbow escape, and I get to my Spider-Man control now. He's trying to continue to pin me, doesn't want me to get up, threading the needle, block bicep, block bicep. Okay, you get the idea. So we'll just turn it into a circular drill using a reguard and a wrestling in order to get to the same position we just started at. I was thinking about using that double leg or that guard in order to get free of side control.
Like and subscribe, and here we go.